After years of dominating the stand-up comedy scene, Jay Leno became the face of NBC's The Tonight Show, holding the spotlight for nearly 2 decades. Even after stepping down from the show, Leno remained a powerhouse in the entertainment world. But behind the laughter and charm of this iconic comedian lies a troubling secret one that is driving a wedge between him and his wife. Before we dive into that, let's take a quick look back at Jay's remarkable journey. Jay Leno's path to comedy greatness began long before he became a household name. Born on April 28, 1950, in New Rochelle, New York, Leno was the youngest child in a lively family. His father worked as an insurance salesman, while his mother managed the household. Growing up in Andover, Massachusetts, young Jay was obsessed with Johnny Carson's Tonight Show. While other kids dreamed of becoming astronauts or firefighters, Jay was captivated by the idea of making people laugh. After finishing high school, Leno enrolled at Emerson College in Boston to study speech therapy. However, he quickly realized it wasn't his passion and dropped out after a year and a half. To pay the bills, he took up carpentry, but the call of comedy was too strong to ignore. Soon, he packed his bags and headed west to chase his dream. Landing in Los Angeles in the early 1970s, Leno dove into the stand-up scene, performing at local clubs and steadily building his reputation. His quick wit and relatable charm made him a crowd favorite. And before long, he was regularly appearing on The Tonight Show, the very show that inspired his love of comedy. With each performance, Leno proved he was more than just another comedian. He was destined for greatness. His TV career really took off in the 1970s when he first appeared on the set of Johnny Carson's Tonight Show as a stand-up act. His humor and approachable style quickly made him one of Carson's favorites. This exposure cemented his place in the comedy world and helped him connect with audiences across America. In 1986, Leno's career took a significant leap when he became a regular substitute host for Carson. His charm and quick wit made him a natural fit, paving the way for even greater fame. The show gave Leno a platform to showcase his unique humor and established him as a household name, setting the stage for his future as a late-night television icon by the early 1990s. The question of who would succeed Johnny Carson became a hot topic. As Johnny Carson's retirement approached, the question of who would take over The Tonight Show was on everyone's mind. Jay Leno's frequent appearances had made him a strong contender, but he faced tough competition from David Letterman, who had been hosting Late Night with David Letterman since 1982. Many, including Carson himself, believe Letterman was the natural successor. However, in a surprising twist that became one of the most talked-about moments in television history, NBC chose Leno to take over when Carson retired in 1992. The behind-the-scenes drama during this transition was so intense, it inspired both a book and a movie, capturing the rivalry and tensions surrounding the decision. Despite the controversy, Leno's tenure as host of The Tonight Show was marked by many defining moments. One of the most significant came in July 1995. By this time, Leno had firmly established himself as the face of late-night television. But the competition with David Letterman, who had since moved to his own show on CBS, was far from over. The turning point in the late-night ratings battle arrived when Leno landed an exclusive interview with Hugh Grant. Grant had recently been involved in a highly publicized scandal, and everyone was eager to hear his side of the story. With his signature blend of humor and relatability, Leno asked the infamous question, "What the hell were you thinking?" The episode drew massive viewership, and for the first time, Leno's ratings surpassed those of Letterman. From that moment on, Leno consistently held his own in the ratings war, proving that his style of humor and his ability to connect with guests and audiences alike were unmatched. This moment showcased just how skilled Leno was at turning even the most awkward situations into television gold. By 2004, Jay Leno still reigning as the king of late-night TV, NBC made a bold move to keep him on The Tonight Show until 2009, but even as they secured Leno's future, the network was already planning the next chapter. They locked in Conan O'Brien to take over the show once Leno's contract expired. This set the stage for one of the most talked-about transitions in television history. As 2009 approached, everyone was buzzing with the question, what would Jay Leno do next? Despite the planned handoff, The Tonight Show under Leno continued to dominate the ratings, leaving fans and industry insiders wondering if he might jump to another network once his time at NBC was up. Leno finally said his farewells on May 29, 2009, handing over the late-night torch to Conan O'Brien on June 1. But Jay wasn't about to fade quietly into the background. Just a few months later, on September 14, 2009, The Jay Leno Show hit the airwaves. This new show wasn't just a repeat of The Tonight Show, it was, The Jay Leno Show offered a fresh take on late night, featuring some of Leno's signature segments like headlines, keeping fans laughing with his trademark wit. The premiere was a star-studded event, with guests like Jerry Seinfeld, Oprah Winfrey, and a headline-grabbing sit-down with Kanye West, who was fresh off his infamous outburst at the 2009 MTV Video Music Awards the night before. Leno's return to television proved that he was more than just a late-night host. He was a late-night institution. His ability to bounce back and entertain audiences with his sharp humor and laid-back style made it clear that even after leaving The Tonight Show, Jay Leno was far from finished making us laugh. Another unforgettable chapter in Leno's career came during the 2005 trial of the legendary Michael Jackson, known for his comedic timing and sharp wit. Leno found himself in a serious role as a defense witness in the high-profile case. During the trial, he testified about a phone conversation he had with Jackson's accuser. Leno mentioned that while the call felt unusual and somewhat scripted, the accuser didn't ask him for money, nor did it seem like he was being coached. Leno's involvement in the trial temporarily limited his comedic freedom. Initially, he was barred from making jokes about Jackson or the trial, an especially tough restriction for a comedian since the topic had been a staple in The Tonight Show monologues. But Leno and his team weren't easily deterred. They cleverly found a loophole. Leno would step aside while guest comedians such as Roseanne Barr, Drew Carey, Brad Garrett, and Dennis Miller delivered the jokes in his place. Eventually, the gag order was challenged. The court ruled that Leno could resume making jokes about the trial, though he was still forbidden from discussing his own testimony. To celebrate this victory, Leno dedicated an entire monologue to Michael Jackson jokes, proving that not even a courtroom could stop him from doing what he does best. Despite the buzz surrounding their new roles, both Jay Leno and Conan O'Brien struggled to capture the audience NBC had hoped for. Ratings just weren't meeting expectations, and by early 2010, it was clear that changes were necessary. On January 7, 2010, multiple media outlets reported that NBC was planning a major shakeup in its late-night lineup. Starting March 1, 2010, Leno would be Jay Leno was moved from his 10 p.m. time slot back to 11:35 p.m. This decision came after growing pressure from local affiliates, whose newscasts were suffering ratings losses, and because both Leno's and Conan O'Brien's shows were falling short of expectations. To accommodate this change, Leno's show was cut from an hour to a half hour, a move that upset many fans, adding to the complexity. The 2010 Winter Olympics were set to preempt all NBC late-night programming from February 15th to 26th, pushing The Tonight Show to a 12:05 a.m. start time. The first time in its history the show would air after midnight. O'Brien's contract allowed NBC to bump his show to 12:05 a.m. without penalty, thanks to a clause primarily designed for sports preemptions. However, this drastic schedule change was not what anyone had expected. The tension between Leno and O'Brien, combined with the network's struggles and shifting time slots, created a perfect storm that soon led to one of the most dramatic late-night shakeups in television history. On January 10, 2010, NBC finally confirmed what had been widely speculated. Jay Leno would be pulled from his primetime slot as of February 12th, with plans to move him back to late night as soon as possible. This decision triggered a chain reaction that ignited one of the biggest controversies in TV history. The news hit like a bombshell, especially for Conan O'Brien, who was reportedly blindsided by the move. According to TMZ, O'Brien received no advance notice and suddenly faced two difficult choices. Either move The Tonight Show to the 12:05 a.m. slot, effectively losing its iconic position, or leave the network entirely. On January 12th, Bryan responded with a press release that rocked the industry. He declared he would not continue hosting The Tonight Show if it moved to 12:05 a.m., stating, "I believe that delaying The Tonight Show into the next day to accommodate another comedy program will seriously damage what I consider to be the greatest franchise in the history of broadcasting. The Tonight Show at 12:05 simply isn't The Tonight Show." This bold stance set the stage for a dramatic showdown with NBC and became a defining moment in the saga, keeping late-night TV fans glued to their screens wondering what would happen next. On January 21st, 2010, NBC announced a deal that marked the end of Conan O'Brien's brief tenure on The Tonight Show, and a move that shocked fans. O'Brien agreed to leave the show in exchange for a hefty $33 million payout, while his staff of nearly 200 people would share an additional $12 million as part of the exit package. The deal was bittersweet. The resolution to the late-night drama came with Conan O'Brien's final episode airing on January 22, 2010, marking the end of one of the most turbulent periods in late-night television history. Just weeks later, on March 1, 2010, following the conclusion of the Winter Olympics, Jay Leno returned to his longtime post as host of The Tonight Show. However, the late-night landscape had shifted. By July 1, 2010, reports revealed that Leno's Tonight Show had experienced a significant drop in viewership compared to the previous year. Total audience numbers fell from 5 million to 4 million during the second quarter, marking the lowest ratings the show had seen since 1992. Despite the decline, Lenos still managed to hold on to the top spot in late-night television, staying ahead of ABC's Nightline and CBS's The Late Show with David Letterman. On April 3, 2013, NBC announced that Jay Leno would step down from The Tonight Show in the spring of 2014, passing the reins to Jimmy Fallon. This marked the end of a legendary run for Leno, who had been the face of late-night television for over 2 decades. His final episode on February 6, 2014, was a star-studded event featuring Billy Crystal, Garth Brooks, and surprise guests like Oprah Winfrey and Jim Parsons, fitting send-off for a host synonymous with late-night entertainment. But Leno wasn't ready to slow down. After leaving The Tonight Show, he hit the road as a touring stand-up comedian, performing around 200 shows a year across the US and Canada. His love for making people laugh kept him busy, and he also found time for television. Leno landed a recurring role on Tim Allen's comedy series Last Man Standing as Joe Leonard, a mechanic with a sharp wit. His natural comedic charm made him a hit in this new role. Leno didn't stop there. In 2021, he returned to television to host the revival of the classic game show You Bet Your Life. The show was well received, but in a surprising move, Leno chose not to cross the picket line during the 2023 Writers Guild of America strike, which led to the show's cancellation. This decision highlighted Leno's integrity, even as it marked the end of another successful chapter in his career. In addition to live performances and acting roles, Leno also made his mark as a voice actor with memorable roles like the Crimson Chin on The Fairly Odd Parents. Jay Leno also made his mark as a voice actor, lending his voice to memorable characters like the Crimson Chin on The Fairly Odd Parents and Billy Beagle on Mickey and the Roadster Racers. In 2023, he even returned to NBC as a guest judge on Hot Wheels Ultimate Challenge, proving that his connection with audiences remains as strong as ever. However, despite making millions laugh every night, few knew that Jay was quietly wrestling with serious challenges behind the scenes. Jay married his wife, Mavis Leno, back in 1980, and the couple has been inseparable ever since. Mavis, born Mavis Elizabeth Nicholson on September 5, 1946, has always preferred to stay out of the spotlight, choosing instead to work quietly behind the scenes supporting and running various non-profit organizations. While Jay's career took center stage, Mavis remained the steady force in the background. The relationship appeared to be the picture of a peaceful and happy life. Then, earlier in 2024, Jay shocked the world with heartbreaking news. Mavis is battling advanced dementia. This revelation shed light on the private struggle the couple has been quietly enduring behind closed doors. Despite these challenges, Jay and Mavis made a rare public appearance together at the premiere of Netflix's Unfrosted, a moment that deeply moved those aware of the severity of her condition. Dementia is a broad term covering a range of neurological disorders that progressively worsen over time, affecting the brain. Symptoms can include memory loss, confusion, difficulty concentrating, and trouble speaking. There are 4 major types of dementia, but Jay and Mavis have chosen to keep the specifics of her diagnosis private. What Jay has shared, however, is the devastating reality that Mavis's condition has deteriorated so significantly over the years that she has progressively lost her sense of capacity and orientation to time and place. According to her neurologist, Dr. Hart Cohen, Mavis sometimes does not recognize her husband Jay or even remember her own date of birth. During this difficult time, Jay has faced the enormous challenge of balancing his career with the intense demands of caring for his wife. Despite his busy schedule, which includes touring as a stand-up comedian and making public appearances, Jay has taken a hands-on role in Mavis's care. Managing the responsibilities of a high-profile career while attending to her needs has been no small feat. Jay has had to navigate the emotional and physical toll of caregiving, all while maintaining his professional commitments. His dedication. Jay's dedication to Mavis, despite the pressures of his own career, speaks volumes about his commitment and love, showcasing a side of him that goes far beyond his public persona. Beyond managing Mavis's day-to-day needs, Jay has also stepped up to handle her financial affairs. In mid-April, he was granted conservatorship over Mavis's estate. A judge deemed Jay suitable and qualified for this significant responsibility, citing clear and convincing evidence that a conservatorship was necessary due to Mavis's inability to independently manage her finances because of her advanced dementia. This additional layer of responsibility has required Jay to juggle not only the emotional and physical demands of caregiving, but also the complex task of overseeing Mavis's assets. On the bright side, Jay and Mavis have always shared a deep and enduring love. Throughout their 44 years together, despite the challenges they now face, their bond remains as strong as ever. During a recent date night, Jay told the media, "We hang out every day, we have a great time. 44 years, so we're doing good." The couple, who decided early on not to have children, find comfort in the fact that they've always had each other. As Mavis put it simply, "We just have each other." Jay, with his signature warmth, sweetly added, "Every day is a good day." Their unwavering support and love for one another continue to be the foundation of their life together. Even as they navigate these difficult times,